Okay, here we are still in Brookwood Cemetery in this little very precious area, and I've got a contemporary of Abdullah Yusuf Ali here, Mohammed Mahamedook Pickthall. May God sanctify his soul. He was born in the 1870s and died in the 1930s, and he was the son of a clergyman, an Anglican clergyman, and he could trace his family all the way back to William the Conqueror. He was a pucker Englishman. He was a sickly child, but he recovered and he went to Harrow School, which is very close to where I live, and he was actually, one of his schoolmates was actually Winston Churchill in his youth. He became a writer, and he was contemporary of H.G. Wells and other famous writers of the time, and he was very highly regarded. But he traveled a great deal in the Levant, and it was there that he really relaxed, and he loved the Orient, and he quickly learned Arabic and Turkish, and he found real peace there. In fact, he remarked that a person in Palestine at the time could go his whole life, perhaps, without seeing a policeman. Things were so well regimented and things went so well. There was no need, there was no strife there. But he came back to England, and he continued his life as a writer and also as a member of the higher echelons of society. Unfortunately, war was building up, and there was a great deal of Islamophobia that came at the time, because the new enemy was, of course, Germany and their ally Turkey. And he actually spoke to people in politics, and he pleaded with them, for God's sake, don't set the Arabs against the Turks, because this is what is bringing order in the area. If you do away with the Turks, the whole area will fall into chaos. But, of course, he wasn't listened to, war is money after all. And in fact, when the Balfour Declaration was made, he gave a speech kind of predicting what would happen, and he converted to Islam shortly after. And actually, another thing that really decided him, he was English, he loved England, he loved the church, but he was actually at a church service, and John or Charles Wesley, there was a hymn being sung in which the Prophet Muhammad was referred to as a fiend and a thief and so on. And it was just the breaking point. He stood up, walked out, and he came to Woking, and he became a Muslim there and then. And in fact, of course, he knew so much. A week later, he was leading the khutbah. And he dedicated his life to the faith. He actually served in the British Army whilst a Muslim as a corporal in the medical corps. But most of his work was actually with people suffering from the influenza epidemic that took place then. After the war, he was persona non grata. Society shunned him, and he actually went and he spent a great deal of time in the Muslim world in India, and it was there that he actually turned himself to making a translation of the Holy Quran. And along with Yusuf Ali, his translation is one of the most highly regarded. He wanted to make sure that his translation was accepted by the established Muslim elite. So he went to Cairo, to the Vatican of the Muslim world, and he asked them to look over his translation. And he said dealing with the ulama, with the scholars in Cairo, turned his hair white. He was really frustrated. in the fullness of time, actually, he came back here to Woking, and it was here that he passed away. I see him really as a visionary. As things were unfolding before the First World War, he could see what we're experiencing today, I suppose. But anyway, may God have mercy on his soul and on ours.